Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Mariam Sohail, and I'm part of the product marketing team here at Trolley. And I'm going to be your host today for the Office Hours event. So we're really excited to have you join us today as we take a closer look at our biggest product release of 2025. We're going to start with a quick recap of what's new, what's improved, and how these new features and updates are helping businesses like yours streamline payouts and recipient operations. So, in general, this event is designed to be interactive. Think of it as your chance to connect directly with our product team, ask them questions, and learn directly from our experts. And with that, I'm going to start by introducing our expert product team. So, we have Barnett Klein here, who's our VP of Product. Miles Foster, our product lead for Trolley Pay, Siddharth Raghuvanshi, our product lead for Trolley Trust, and Sean Young, who's our product lead for Trolley Tax. So let's quickly take a look at the agenda for today. So we've structured the discussion into three main parts. So to start, I'm going to hand it over to our VP of Product, Barnett, who's going to kick things off with a quick overview of our product release. Next, our product leads will jump in to give you a recap of new features, new releases for Pay, Sync, Tax, and Trust. And then right after, we'll jump straight to a 40-minute interactive Q&A session. And before we begin, though, just some few housekeeping rules for the group here. The session is being recorded, so we're going to share the recording and any other key resources with you afterwards. Please keep your mics muted, but if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat panel anytime, starting from now. So we'll address as many as we can live. And then we'll also have a post-event survey. So if you have any additional questions, any feedback about the event, please take a minute to fill that and send it our way. It will be super valuable for the team. Great. So with that, we're going to get started. We have a great lineup for today. So Barnett, the floor is all yours.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Barnett Klein, VP of Product here at Trolley, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to our Raising the Bar Office Hours event. The world of payouts has changed. What used to be a back office task has become a core part of how companies build trust, scale globally, and deliver great experiences. At Trolley, over the past year, we've worked closely with our customers and partners to reimagine what the future of payouts and recipient operations looks like. Not just for finance teams, but for everyone involved in building better experiences. This release brings that vision to life across three areas: payout ops, embedded payouts, and recipient ops. Starting off with payout ops, it's all about simplifying how teams manage payouts. We're giving finance and operational leaders faster, more automated workflows, better reporting, and real-time visibility, so payouts become a growth engine, not a bottleneck in your processes. Next is embedded payouts. For the first time, platforms can offer payouts as a service directly to their customers. With the new APIs, SDKs, and sub-account tools, you can turn payouts into a new product and revenue stream while we handle the compliance and complexity. And lastly, recipient ops. Because every payout starts and ends with a person, we're making it easier to onboard, verify, and pay recipients anywhere while improving trust, compliance, and transparency across the entire experience. Together, these accounts connect every part of your payout operations, helping you move faster, scale smarter, and deliver for the people who make your business possible. Again, thank you for joining us today, and now I hand it back to Miriam.
So thank you, Barnett. That was a really good overview of what we've been up to here at Trolley. So now we're going to shift gears and sort of like go into the details. So we're going to talk about what we've launched for our different products, including Pay, Trust, Tax, and Sync. And we'll start with Miles Foster, who's going to talk about our latest releases for Trolley Pay.
Hey folks, I'm Miles, the product lead on the Pay side, and just going to give a quick recap about what we announced and what we've been working on and are going to be working on in the months to come. So, I think the first one I want to touch on is sending faster global payouts with new local routes. We've been moving many of our U.S. customers to a new bank partner, as you may know, and with this new partner, it strengthened our payout network. So we've been able to bring 13 new local routes, international ACH routes, to these customers. And I think like really some of the key routes we're seeing there is Brazil, Israel, Peru, Dominican Republic, and a bunch more. So those are really powerful routes, very common routes we see. So really happy to bring that to the table for everyone. Really, with a local route, what you're getting is more faster speed into that country. So instead of a wire payment, those local routes usually landed within a couple of business days. And of course, reduced fees. The fee for an IACH payment is less up with Trolley than it is with wire payments. So we're passing the savings on to you there. Another key thing that we've been able to do with this new bank partner is launch account funding from your payment processor, like Stripe, for example. So for customers that are processing payments from customers and collecting money from customers, and then need to pay out a portion of that money, you can now direct funds directly from Stripe into your Trolley account. And then it's ready to pay out. So there's no more operational work of funding your account and managing that money. It goes directly into your Trolley account and ready to pay out. So that should reduce some delays in that funds flow and create more liquidity at the end of the day. So really excited to bring that out. Thirdly, we've been investing in our onboarding process for merchants. So if you're a net new merchant coming on board with us or looking at Trolley and considering to come on board with us, you'll be glad to hear that we've invested in that onboarding process. And we're doing a lot more work in the coming months around that to make sure that onboarding will be as smooth and as fast as possible. One of these things also includes embedded onboarding for partner merchants, and we might there's a question around that we might talk about later. The other thing we've done is launch FDIC insured accounts with that new bank partner. So they've given us insured accounts up to $250,000. And this is just another doubling down on Trolley's trust posture and making sure that we're bringing the most secure environment for your money and making sure that it's safe with us. And that's the confidence we want to bring to the table here. And finally, the one I'm most excited about is debit card payouts. Coming in Q1 2026 for US customers, we're going to be able to bring debit card payouts to them, to your recipients. So your recipients can now enter their debit card number in, whether it's a Visa debit card or a MasterCard debit card, and get paid in near real time to that card when you send a payment. So payments are very fast, they're almost instant, and they're right into your checking account that's behind that bank account. So with that, I think that's the recap of what we launched on the pay side. So I'll hand it back to Barnett to talk about some of the things we launched on Sync.
Thanks, Miles. Sync is focused on easing integration to your existing systems to maximize the value you get from Trolley. Over the past year, we've made improvements to embedded payouts and payout ops to give more scalability to our customers. With embedded payouts, we've extended our APIs to allow partners to enable further configuration of their sub-accounts, allowing merchants to get their customers using Trolley with ease. As for payout ops, we've made improvements in the preparation of payouts by enabling invoice ingestion workflows via emails and in pushing data out to your other key systems. We now sync more often with better custom field support to these systems. So please reach out if you want to hear more and learn about which integrations. Now hand it off to Siddharth to talk about trust.
Hey everyone, so I'm here and excited to talk about trust. I think the first thing that I'd really love to talk about is Trolley's work on integrating with localized regional verifiers. entirely based on optimizing onboarding rates. So different regions across the world have very different languages, have very different ID types, and we've integrated with a number of different local providers to make sure that recipients are onboarded with the highest possible likelihood of success. Secondly, we've set up a lot of policies around being able to automate age gating and geo-gating recipients. This allows you to comply with different regulations around underage users, as well as different onboarding filters, such as showing a certain type of content only to recipients based in a certain region. Lastly, we're really excited about Trolley's Blocklist. This is a functionality that allows you to track bad actors as they create multiple different accounts. This means that when a bad actor just creates a single account on the platform and stops it, they can't rapidly create multiple different other ones to actually end up on your platform again. But this is in fact a great way for them to be stopped right in their tracks. That's everything for trust, and excited to pass it off to Sean.
Hey everyone, I'm Sean. I'm the product lead for Trolley Tax. Really excited to share a few of the key improvements that we made to the tax product in the latest release. So first up is mid-year filing in Australia. If you're using the marketplace tax product to report to the Australian tax office, this one's for you. So Australia now requires marketplaces to report twice per year, once in July and again in January. This is different than most tax reporting, which is just once a year in January. So to help you stay compliant, we've updated the tax center so that it opens twice per year. And this is if you've got Australian reporting toggled on. And you can generate and send recipient statements for the first half of the year in July and then do the full year filing in January. Now, important note, this only applies if you're a marketplace and you either have sellers based in Australia or you have a corporate presence there. Next, I'll talk about TIN validation for non-US TINs, and in the US they normally call it FTINs. We know merchants need to collect tax IDs from recipients around the world, and it's really not always straightforward. So we've added format validation for over 200 TINs. Each one follows its own rules for length, format, and even mathematical checksums. So once a tax form or profile is submitted, we automatically validate it. And if something doesn't look right, it's flagged in the tax center, and it shows a specific issue, and you can void that form or request a corrected version in just a few clicks. And then the final thing here is improved withholding reports. So we've really updated our US withholding reports to make year-end reconciliation a lot smoother. This is a feature that's available on request, so just let us know. And it's a report that includes total payouts, total withholding amounts, rates, and form types, all organized by recipients so that you can get a really clear picture fast and identify any discrepancies. So really all of these updates are about one thing. It's just making it easier for you to stay compliant and confident no matter where you operate. And as always, we're going to continue to expand coverage and streamline reporting as global tax rules evolve. Thanks so much. And with that, I'll hand it back to Miriam.
Perfect. Thank you, team. We will now officially start our Q&A session. So again, as a quick reminder, the session is meant to be informal, interactive. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat panel. I'm monitoring the chat, so we'll go through as many questions as we can live. I'm going to give everybody a moment to sort of think about their questions, get their thoughts together. But in the meantime, let's start with a few questions that have came up ahead of today's session. And I'm going to start with one question about payouts. So a question that we see pretty often is around, again, our newest payout method, which is debit card payouts. And the question is, how do debit card payouts work? And what is the cost associated with debit card payouts? And for this, I'm going to have Miles Foster come in and answer.
Great, thanks, Miriam. So yeah, I think that's a great question. I'm happy to dig in a little bit deeper. So debit card payouts are a new offering that we're bringing to merchants, and really what it is it's using the debit card rails, which are usually used to take money off of a debit card, but almost in reverse. So we can now put money back onto that card using the Visa or MasterCard network. So we're basically, all it needs is the recipient's card number and the name on the card and expiry date, similar to like you're checking out at on an online store, but this time you're just putting your details in to receive money onto that card. And then once the recipients enter their details, that'll be straight inside the widget or the portal solution that we have. Those are captured and stored securely. And then you as a merchant just can go and initiate a payment to that recipient. And the money comes directly out of your balance, your trolley balance. There's no additional balance or anything needed for this. It just works straight out of your initial trolley balance. And so it should be streamlined. You can include it in a batch with any other type of payment. So yeah, very, very straightforward. And then the second part of your question was about pricing. So the pricing associated with debit cards, we're still working out the exact pricing, and we'll probably announce that later this year or very early next year. But one new thing we're introducing with debit cards is percentage-based pricing. So it will be some sort of percentage-based pricing. We're still finalizing what that looks like exactly. But this will be the first payout route that we price on a percentage basis going forward. So that's the expectation to set now.
Perfect. That was really insightful. And with that, I can see some great questions coming up in chat. So I'm adding our team here, our entire product teams here to answer your questions. So I'm going to be taking up some questions that I see in chat. We have one about Sync, which is, will Sync with Sage Intacct be supported? And Barnett's going to take that one up.
Yeah, we'll have to get back to you. Sage has some additional requirements in terms of basically paying them to be able to leverage their API and integrate. So we're kind of walking through an enablement plan for Sage. We do have a technical way to do it, but we're just walking through some of the commercials. We'll kind of follow back up in terms of when we're planning to enable that partner.
Perfect. I can see another one here related to tax. So will the EFTIN flags include specific reasons for why the verification has failed? Sean, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, thanks for this question. It's a super common one following the release. This is really high on our roadmap. I would say we have two main things that we're working on here. One is this exact thing, which is, getting really specific around specifically for TIN format, why the verification failed, exactly how many characters are we looking for, if there's sub-segments, what is the format for each of those. Where we're tackling the complexity is that we're trying to make this like translatable in every language that people are using our product. We're looking to make it a consistent format across, over 200 TINs. So there's a lot of complexity in making a system to do that, but we are working on it. And the second thing is we're looking to move the FTIN verification actually upstream onto the recipient widget side, so that merchants, you don't have to worry about this at all. Now, in order to do that, we need to make the error messages a lot better so that recipients don't hit the same problems. But that is where we're heading.
Perfect. Thank you for elaborating on that one. I see another one in chat here. So it's also about tax. So how does tax obligation work with the new payout? Who is the withholding agent? I
think with with a lot of these tax questions, the devil's in the details around we need to be more specific around the specific payment, who the payment's going to, and the merchant, and their sort of tax nexus reasons. Miles, I don't know if you have any specific thoughts on any with anything on debit that might apply to this, but it's hard for me to answer this question without more specifics.
I mean, I think if we're talking about US, I don't think any tax obligation changes from between a bank transfer and a debit card payment. The same rules apply. At the end of the day, the IRS is looking at money movement and exchange of currency into somebody else's bank account, paying for services or whatnot. So how you get to that money to the person, whether it's in cash or via a debit card payment or via bank transfer, doesn't doesn't usually affect how the IRS sees that as earned income or whatnot.
Yeah, maybe the one exception to that is like if it's crypto, which we're not doing right now anyway, but if and when we do, then there would be definitely some considerations. Right?
True. Yes, exactly. Yeah, crypto is a whole different ballgame, but yeah.
So I hope that answers your question. Another one that I see here is, can you speak a bit more about improvements made to embedded payouts in this release? So Miles or Barnett, whoever wants to take over.
I'm
I can jump.
happy to. You want to start, Barnett? Go ahead.
Yeah, the focus on during the past year for embedded payouts has been a lot on the onboarding and initial configuration of the account. So we already have a pretty robust functions in terms of payout management, recipient onboarding, and recipient management. So all those capabilities have been there, and we have a lot of partners who are leveraging those across hundreds of sub-accounts. We have made improvements in actually creating those sub-accounts and all the configuration, so that way they're just ready to get processed sooner. So that some improvements on the actual onboarding to some of the just account configurations has been the focus.
And I'll just jump in for one thing that we're starting to invest in, and this should be a Q1 sort of release that we're working towards now, is embedded onboarding for partners. So if you're working with us in a sub-merchant model or considering working with us in a sub-merchant model, and you want to onboard those your customers onto Trolley in a streamlined way, we're basically going to bring a widget to life where you can embed an onboarding experience for merchants into your own platform. So that's what it's basically taking. Right now we have a set of partner APIs that allow you to create a new merchant. This is taking that to the next level, where the entire onboarding experience will be managed through a white labeled widget. So that's kind of where we're headed as a first step next year.
Amazing. And then we have like a question that ties up nicely to what we just talked about. So for any foreign payouts, how is that handled in terms of filing and withholding, and is that embedded into the platform?
Yeah, so I'm going to assume that you're talking in the context of U.S. tax. So if you're a U.S. merchant that's doing foreign payouts to foreign contractors, and let's just say for this specific example that they're performing services that are sourced in the U.S., but this could work either way. But essentially, in the tax onboarding process, we ask the recipient where they're a resident, and that will kind of put them into a W-9 or a W-8 flow, depending on their answer. And so if they're foreign, we will ask them a series of questions and get them to fill out a W-8. There is reporting considerations in terms of filing 1042s and applying withholding to those payments, depending on a number of factors, like, whether there's a tax treaty with their resident country. So there's a lot of specifics there. But we handle all of that logic, all those calculations, and there's a number of tax setting configs that you can do to customize that. It's all built in.
Perfect. Another question about payouts. So how will the new local routes to Brazil, Colombia, and other countries work for bank accounts in those countries that are in USD? Miles.
Yeah, so as that's always available as a USD wire. You can request to have USD wires in a certain country through our CSM team if that's not enabled yet. But the idea is that you can continue to pay those USD wires, and there's no really change or upgrade to those routes. Specifically, what I was referring to was the local currency wires that are getting upgraded. So now it's, instead of like in Brazil, instead of a wire to BRL, it's a local transfer, like using the local clearing system inside of Brazil, and that those payments are only supported in BRL, not in any other currency. And similar for the other countries, it's all the local currency of that country, but the USD wires would still be available.
Thank you for elaborating on that. I'm going to take another a question related to trust. So we have a question here, which is, how does Trolley compare to KYC and KYB providers like Verif? And I'll have Siddharth answer this one.
Yeah, definitely. So I think the big thing that we've done as a part of this release is, as I mentioned, integrate with multiple local providers. And so the things that Trolley's been able to do is pick the best local provider for the specific region. On top of all of it, we standardize all of the different responses so that they're all come in a very standard format to you so that you don't have to integrate with everyone else. And then on top of it, we've built actions on top of all of the different verification providers so that you can automate a lot of handling. The example that I want to give is when an ID expires, it doesn't matter if you use like just a single payment provider, but across all of the different payment providers, we'd capture when the ID is expired and we'd automatically make the individual retake an ITV. So it's that type of focus a bit more on the recipient and the recipient operations rather than purely just KYC for a certain region.
Siddharth, do you want? I think you have a good anecdote, which would be cool to share, like some of the results in some of the regions that we saw, and the improvement with the when we rolled out this kind of multi-partner piece. I think that would be helpful to share.
Yeah, 100%. I think so. There's like when we originally worked with just like we used to originally work with just Verif as a single provider. But what we had were success rates that were in the 50% to 70% for countries such as Japan, Korea, China, and India. And within just like a week of launching with this new like optimized local providers, we saw so many of them jump from like Korea jumped from 70% to 100% onboarding success rate. Japan again jumped from I think 80% to 100%. And then the biggest jump by far was like India, which had like around a 50% success rate, all the way up to, I think, a 95, 97. And these were all authentic individuals who had the correct ID that were previously being denied because a certain provider was unable to parse their language, their ID type. And so it's this sort of globalization that we're a big fan of at Trolley.
That's definitely exciting to hear. So I have another question about trust. So can Trolley share any blocking information from the broader industry to block my users?
Yeah, definitely. So as a part of Trolley's integrations with the block list, you have, of course, the own bad actors that you can block on your platform. But in addition to that, we're also integrating with other industry block lists. So currently, we're in the process of integrating with Music Fights Fraud Alliance, which allows us to tap into bad actors who commit streaming fraud or some sort of copyright fraud on other platforms, and then they can go in and you can stop them directly on your platform via Trolley. On top of that, we're also working with other industry block lists in the financial space that can help block against credit card fraud, chargeback fraud, which I'm certain a lot of different customers are suffering from.
Thank you for elaborating on that. Next, we have a question about like one of our upcoming releases. So this one's about invoice ingestion. So we heard you are launching invoice ingestion in beta early next year. Can we customize this workflow to create corresponding bills in our ERP? And I'm going to have Barnett take this one up.
Definitely. So yeah, with our invoice ingestion flow, it can be paired with our other sync integration flows. So one is able to manage that integration with the ERP with whatever pull or push flows they require, whether that is the bill sorting out and being created and managed through Trolley and then being also persisted in the ERP for tracking, or whether it's just journal entries that you need to push at the end of the transaction. We have flexibility how we can integrate and how we can push that in. So yes, definitely.
Amazing. And then we also have another one, again, related to sync. So does vendor information from the ERP continuously get updated in Trolley automatically? Yeah.
Today, Trolley is the point of truth for vendor information. If you have a need where you have another point of truth, such as your core systems, there's other integration flows which we can support that through our API, or even through some customized integrations that we can partner with your team on. But a pre-built Trolley integration via sync has Trolley being the point of truth of recipient data at this point in time.
Got it. Thank you for answering that. Next, we have a question here related to trust. So how does Trolley reconcile any differences between payment and trust information? And Siddharth's going to answer that one.
Yeah, definitely. So right now, with certain platforms, what you can do is that you can have an ID be onboarded, and you can present an entirely different bank account name and bank account address, or an entirely different country when it comes to being paid out. As a part of this release, one of the things that Trolley is working on and is focusing on delivering is being able to reconcile the different parts of a recipient's identity. So being able to say that this name that you provided on this bank account, that doesn't match our records for what you have. And that is something that we're able to highlight to our users, either stop the payments if that's what they prefer, or just maybe it'll let them investigate themselves deeply if they need to. But this is a great way for you to help actually stop a lot of the fraud on your platform, and specifically really capture account takeover, which is when an authentic account is gained access to by a bad actor, and they change all the information. Now we can force off all of that information to be aligned with what existed before.
Perfect. We have some questions related to tax and Australian reporting. So there's a question here. How do I know whether my platform is reportable to Australia? And Sean's going to answer that.
Yeah. So first of all, with all marketplace reporting, are you a marketplace? If you're not a marketplace, it's not going to apply. If you're a music royalties company, this doesn't really apply to you. If you are a marketplace, though, then there's kind of two considerations. One is seller. So if you have sellers living in Australia, then you're going to be reportable there. If you don't have sellers there, or you do, but then also you have like a legal presence there, so you're a corporate entity there, or if you have any operating presence there, so let's say like an office, distribution center, anything like that, then you would also be reportable there. And unlike EU DAX 7, there's no thresholds for like small volume operators. If you make any payments to anybody that like matching those other conditions that I just mentioned, then you are reportable there in Australia. Yeah, hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah. And like another follow-up question related to this one is, do you currently support contractor reporting in Australia?
Right now, we don't. So right now, we only support contractor reporting end-to-end in the US. Our support for other regions like EU, UK, New Zealand, Australia is limited to that marketplace reporting that I mentioned. So for contractor reporting, though, reporting on Australia is on our roadmap. It's something that we are considering. We're considering which regions we want to expand to next. It's definitely something that we're looking to do, but I don't have any like specific timelines to offer at this time.
Perfect. Thank you for answering that. We have a question related to payout methods. So what sort of payout methods are going to be launched in 2026? And Miles.
Sure. Yeah. I think pretty exciting to announce the launch of Push to Card. We've been thinking and talking about this for a long time, so it's very great that we're getting there. But I want to zoom out and talk about the theme of what we're trying to do next year on the pay side. And I think that's the important message is we're focused around instant payouts. That's going to be one of our big focuses next year is delivering more instant payouts globally. So how can we bring debit card payouts to all of our merchants? How can we look at the currencies of the future and things like this so that more recipients around the world, no matter where they are, can get paid instantly? And so that will be the theme for next year. We're not in the position at this exact moment to announce what ones are going to be next, but I'll definitely be excited to talk about it next year as we kind of firm some of those plans up. So stay tuned, and we'll talk more instant payout methods next year.
Exciting stuff. So I've been seeing some great questions in the chat. So if anybody has more questions about the releases, what we've been talking about, this is your time. So drop any questions in the chat panel, and we'll go through them, address them one by one. I see another question about, and this is one we've been getting pretty often, related to trust. So does Trolley automatically require minors to get parents' approval, or do they just block recipients?
Mm-hmm. So right now, one of the things that we don't do is set up a system of blocking underage minors and then having their parents automatically sign up for an account. Instead, what Trolley does offer is age gating systems, where you're able to say to an individual, you're underage because of your ID or your date of birth, and then you can't proceed further. As a part of that, the minor has to, of course, get the parents proof or ID to actually sign up and show that the account is congruous. But there's no structure of being able to create kind of minor accounts and adult accounts. So that's not something that we support. More so that the parent can create an account on behalf of the kid and move forward that way.
Amazing. Another one about trust again. So how does Trolley block users from sanctioned areas like Russia or North Korea? What's our process behind that?
Yeah, I think there are two parts of that. This is a very important process. So everything around payments, I'm going to hand it over to Miles to talk about how we do that. I'm just going to talk about the trust side. Within Trolley, when someone from a sanctioned or a sanctioned individual tries to sign up, we have a watch list process that's able to go in, identify that this individual is a sanctioned individual, and then we can disable the individual until the merchant team is actually able to go in and review the results. So as a part of the trust product and onboarding, we do have the merchant team take in the data and review it themselves. I'll hand it over to Miles to talk a bit about what is the process around sanctions when it comes to payments and who's responsible for reviewing the hits.
Yeah, so our sanction list is upkept by our compliance team. Our compliance team has various, we're regulated in various jurisdictions, the UK, Canada, US, etc. And we have to look at all the different sanctions that are put out by every single country and keep an eye on that. And our compliance team manages our sanctioned country list, and those are just countries that we can't pay to at all. So there is a certain number of countries that we just don't support. But then there is other countries that are considered higher risk, and it's part of our regular payout process. So every time a payout is sent, behind the scenes, that person's name and details is being scanned through our transaction monitoring system. Our compliance team, most of them pass through without any issue. Some of them get flagged for manual review. We do a manual review, and that's where our ticket process comes in. So we have a ticketing system that allows our compliance team to raise requests directly to the recipients via the widget or the portal, and it also triggers a white label email to ask additional information if we need it. And typically these are all false positives, and this additional information just helps us verify that it is a false positive. And so that's really the regular operations of our compliance team and how we keep you all safe, to make sure that the people that are getting paid through your systems are not bad actors, etc. So yeah, so behind the scenes we are running that process as well, on top of what trust adds to the pile. When you think about recipient onboarding and recipient trusts, we also do some behind the scenes screening on every payment that happens.
Got it. Perfect. We're going to pivot back to another question about payouts. So why would somebody choose debit card payouts instead of a bank transfer or a PayPal payout?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think the biggest thing is speed. So debit card payouts land within 30 minutes instead of like a bank transfer in the US is next business day. So not a big difference, but as we start to look into, at first, we're going to roll out push to card for US recipients. So it'll only be available for recipients in the US, but then we'll start to look at expanding that globally. So there'll be a list of additional countries that we'll add that can get paid. And that's where it gets really interesting, because with the US, you're comparing with an ACH payment. But when you're looking at international payouts, you could be comparing against a wire payment that might take 3 to 5 business days. And now that payment can land instantly in someone's bank account in another country. So really, really powerful shift in payout speed there. And so that's the first thing, is the payout speed is faster. Because like really when you're looking at like PayPal, for example, I think part of that question was PayPal. The money doesn't land in your bank account when you get paid on PayPal. It lands in your PayPal account, and then you need, like, if someone wants to use that money to, I don't know, buy groceries or pay their rent, they still need to go and withdraw that money to their own bank account. So debit card gives that instant feel that PayPal gives, but it also gets the money directly into the bank account. So there's no extra steps to get that money into somewhere you can spend it. So I think those are the main advantages.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, thank you for elaborating on that. That's like super, super helpful. Another question about embedded finance. Now, it's a common theme for this release. So the question here is, what is the vision for embedded finance? And what does that look like for partners and platforms wanting to offer payout capabilities to their users? So Miles or Barnett.
Yeah, I think like I kind of already answered that a little bit earlier, but the vision is to lean into the partnership motion. We're seeing a lot of use cases come up in our conversations that the sub-merchant model is very powerful. The embedded finance play is very powerful when you can now bring a payouts offering to your end customers. That's like, yeah, super powerful thing to add, and it becomes a new basically line of revenue. That's what the merchant conversations we're having are, is like, hey, this partner comes here, they can now launch a new payouts product that's maybe an upgraded subscription on their platform or something like that. So we're seeing that pull from our merchants and our customers, and we want to lean into that. So we're starting to push into that direction and make it easier for everyone to stand up a partner motion and work with sub-merchants, etc.
Yeah, I think the two things to maybe call out is, one, all of the payout methods we'll be adding in the going forward for the next year are going to be from the central bank account, and going to have a very easy effort to onboard without additional compliance or registration or technical processes. It'll be basically click to enable as we expand our payout methods, making it very easy for our customers to then adopt these payout methods for their customers or for their partners. The second piece of this is around how we manage flow of funds and the ability to deposit into these accounts. We have some improvements, maybe Miles, you can talk about it, in terms of ability to, from like credit card processors, for us to take in those funds directly, which can help a lot with embedded finance play.
Yeah, I think like if you're in a marketplace sort of side of things, or like you're integrated with Stripe or Braintree or something like that, where there's inbound money today, or what you might be doing with Trolley or maybe another vendor is that, let's say Stripe processes your payments. The payments then get settled into your corporate bank account. Usually Stripe takes 1 to 2 business days, if not a bit longer, to settle that into your bank account. And then if you need to pay out some of that money, then you need to move that money into your Trolley account first, which is another bank transfer, maybe another business day. And then after that, you can pay the recipient. The powerful step here is now we can accept inbound funds directly from Stripe or Braintree. So you can connect your Stripe account to your Trolley balance with our new bank partner, or you can You can connect your Braintree account and set that up so that deposits now can flow directly into that Trolley account. There's no extra step of taking the money from your corporate bank account and moving it into Trolley. So I think it's a really streamlined workflow for both direct merchants and potential partner merchants in that model to make kind of the money flow really seamless and not have to have anyone in the middle managing that.
Perfect. Thank you, Barnett and Miles, for answering that one. Pivoting back to tax for a bit. So there's a question related to FTIN validation. So does FTIN validation apply to US tax or marketplace tax? And what are the consequences of submitting an incorrect FTIN? And Sean's going to answer that one.
Yeah, so the first question was around, is this feature applying to US tax and marketplace tax? And the answer is both. So in the context of US tax, when a recipient is filling out a W-8, so they're a non-US resident and they're filling out that tax form to certify, let's say they want to claim a tax treaty, there is FTIN validation in there. We need to make sure that they have a valid FTIN, that they're really from the country that they say they're coming from in order to claim that tax treaty, which affects withholding. And then on marketplace tax side, just in general, all recipients need to provide TINs in onboarding. And for marketplace tax, it's global, so even using the word FTIN is kind of like funny. It's just a tax ID, and it could be from any country around the world. So that TIN validation is kind of applied to everybody who goes through onboarding for marketplace tax. And then the consequences of submitting an incorrect FTIN. The answer is basically fines and penalties. Same with most tax stuff. So, but as well, even on the US tax side, there could be over or under withholding because withholding rates depend on tax treaties, and those tax treaties depend on them being actually a resident of those countries. So there is risk of over or under withholding if you don't properly validate those FTINs, and then as well if authorities kind of see that you're not providing valid TINs, they can also impose fines on you.
Perfect. Great. And like, Sean, do you just want to talk about how exactly does FTIN validation work right now? Like, what's our workflow?
Yeah, I think we kind of mentioned it a little bit, but basically, like every tax ID number has a different format. And some countries have multiple different tax IDs, and each of those tax IDs has different lengths or substring format. So the first 3 characters need to be letters, and then the next 3 characters need to be numbers. And sometimes there's even more like complicated rules, like 0 has to appear 3 times or right at the beginning. And so every TIN has its own different set of rules, and we're verifying based off of those published rules from the tax authorities. It is not, I'll be clear, like a database verification. So we're not going into, let's say, for a Canadian social security number or social insurance number, we're not like actually going to the Canadian API government integration where they're checking against the database, and we're not checking even more specifically the name and TIN combination. That is something that we're doing for IRS TIN matching, but for non-IRS TINs, so generally refer to those as FTINs, we're not doing that. It's more of a format verification.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I'm just going to take a quick look at the chat panel here, and it looks like we've covered most of the questions in the queue. With that, does anybody have any additional questions? Like, now's your time to add them in the chat panel. If not, I think that's a great note to sort of like end the session on. Thank you again for everyone who joined and like for sharing your questions. They were super valuable, and I hope this gave you a clear view of how we're raising the bar for recipient operations and payouts. We'll make sure to follow up on any questions we didn't get to cover live. I think we covered most of them, but in case you have additional questions, there's a link to a feedback survey in the chat. And also a huge thanks to Barnett and our product team for walking us through all of the exciting updates in this release. If you want to dive deeper into anything we've covered, we have a really exciting release page, links in the chat, along with supporting materials like blogs, which would help you explore more about this year's release and different updates that we've rolled out. In case you're interested, please feel free to schedule a demo with our team and they will help you explore what's new. If you're an existing client, please reach out to your Trolley rep, your CSM. We'd love to help out. And of course, if you have, again, any additional questions, any feedback about this event, anything you'd like in other Office Hours events that we have after this one, we'd love to hear back from you. So please take a moment to fill out that survey. And yeah, again, thank you for spending the time with us, and we hope to stay in touch. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.